Welcome, Muskegon. Welcome to Muskegon Rotary. My name's Dave Alexander. I have the pleasure and honor of serving as president this year. And this is an easy one. What did we hear just now, folks, to start us off? Yeah. Name of the song? September. Year. 78. Written by Ellie Willis and Maurice White. Anyone see the CBS presentation of Earth, Wind, and Fire this past Sunday night? Outstanding. They were at the filmed at the Hollywood Bowl on September 21st. So that all works. Today's program is Muskegon River Assembly. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Darlene Collet will have our reflection. Four-way test at the end. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Darlene.
Good morning. One of the greatest things my parents taught me is the value of generosity. I learned that you should help others. You should help them. I also learned that we all have something to give to those in need, even if we're in need ourselves. Being generous isn't just about giving money. A helping hand can come in the form of your time, energy, and even just a compassionate shoulder for a friend to lean on.
Please join me in welcoming back to Muskegon Rotary our Sergeant-at-Arms, Ed Henriksen. Please return to your seats, enjoy your meal, and mingle a little, and we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Let's pull this back together. Get your calendars out, however you do those, and remind yourself next Thursday we're going to be at the Delta. Okay, it'll be just a one-off. We will then, through the month of October, continue on here at the Lake House. But next Thursday, noon, that's October 2nd, I believe, we'll be at the Delta. I'll have another announcement, and Kim will have a couple of emails out to you this week to remind you. Visiting Rotarians and guests, please come forward. No, yeah, you're good. First up.
Hello, everybody. Nick Green, for those of you who know me, or don't know me. For those of you who do, I apologize. Brought a guest with me here, Sonny Lamb. He's with Core Realty. He's interested in joining Rotary.
Greg Borgman from Silver Lining Structures. I have a returning guest who is now officially a member and waiting to be inducted. Please welcome Brock Johnson.
Hello, Jason Pisecki. I have Amber Vlietstra back again. She is a content specialist at Revel, and she's interested in joining.
Green dots. Good afternoon, Megan Byard-Carrabba with the Muskegon Area ISD. I have two guests today, actually. Our first is Eleanor Wilson. She is the Associate Director for Business and Community Partnerships at Central Michigan University. She is actually in charge of the West region in our area. We're connecting with you all if you are looking to perhaps upscale and provide education opportunities for your employees. She will be a great connection to have if you're looking to see what their online programs are or other post-secondary access for your employees. And my second guest is Bernard Brown. Bernard is our CTE director here for the West Michigan area, for our region, at our tech center, and even in our local high schools. Bernard is the person that we reach out to for any type of programming or pathway for career and technical education, as well as making sure we stay compliant with what we need to offer in our high schools. Bernard is interested and will be joining Rotary.
Hello, everyone. Karen Kikelic here, and my guest today is Leanne Lowry. She is the lovely wife of Chad, and she is also the co-founder of Indie Next Gen. So please welcome Leanne.
Eugenia Seifert with Nexus Realty, and I'm here to introduce Sarah Acker with Ludus. She is the head of HR there down in Grand Rapids, but she recently moved up here with her husband and dog to Muskegon, so she's happy to call this place home now.
All right, Mike, you're going to have to raise the cameras here for me. All right. Please join me in welcoming our guests from Mona Shores High School. To introduce our student guest today is Stacy Myers. She is one of the counselors at the school.
Good afternoon. I brought one of our finest, Lainey Russell. I'm going to let her share a little bit about what she does at the high school and her plans for after, but I feel like walking in, she already knew way more people than I did, so it's kind of cool to see.
Hi, my name's Lainey Russell. My grandpa is Jack Briggs. He used to be a member here. And then at Mona Shores, I play volleyball, basketball, and tennis, and I'm the president of the National Honor Society, and I also do Link Crew, which is like a club that like welcomes all the freshmen at the beginning of the year. Oh, and next year I'm going to Northern Michigan University to play volleyball, and I think I might want to go into something with like education or something with children. I don't really know just yet.
Name of our guest again? Lainey? Lainey. 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 I am heading to Northern this weekend. I have 2 volleyball matches to do as an official, so I will see you there next year, okay? I love those volleyball minutes, right? But we're going to do a Muskegon minute. Back in 1997, a group of Muskegon Conservation Club members in North Muskegon created the Muskegon Environmental Research and Education Society. MERS went on a journey to obtain, clean up, and preserve what was a community dump on Lake Avenue with the spectacular access to the Muskegon River. With plenty of contributions and volunteers over the decades, that site has become the Muskegon Lake Nature Preserve. MERS leaders love the collaborative effort created by the Muskegon Rotary Club to plan and execute Muskegon County's first microforest at Marquette Avenue and US 31 in the city of Muskegon. The Muskegon Lake Nature Preserve is planning and beginning to execute the second microforest in Muskegon County on their property. Mears has reached out to Muskegon Rotary Club to collaborate with its project. John Noling and our Microforest team are looking to provide plants and Rotary volunteers that would also include Interact clubs in North Muskegon and Reese Buffer. Go out, walk the property. It's beautiful. If you haven't done so recently, please get out to check out the preserve. And stay tuned for more information on Muskegon Lake Nature Preserve's microforest and our possible involvement in it. Before we go on to the program, let's honor some Paul Harris Fellows with Plus Awards. Meredith Smiley.
Yeah, there we go. Over the last few weeks and months, we've honored a number of our fellow Rotarians and community members for their contribution and support of the Rotary Foundation. However, becoming a Paul Harris is a milestone. It is not a destination. We ask those who become Paul Harris Fellows to continue to support the Rotary Foundation and recognize them as a multiple Paul Harris Fellow as they continue to contribute to the Rotary Foundation. So with each additional $1,000 donated, a Paul Harris Fellow is presented with either a pin with a sapphire or a ruby indicating their level of contribution. Today we have the honor and privilege of several individuals in the spirit of Paul Harris, dream good dreams and make them come true. Today's honorees are Ginny Sprague, Paul Harris +6 and +7 pins. So if you want to come up and get your awards. Yep, and stay here for a photograph. You got to pose, you know. They like us to look right at the camera when they take those pictures. Remington Sprague, Paul Harris +5 and +6. Stay here. Gary Nealon, Paul Harris +1. Ed Hendrickson, Paul Harris +3. Pam Babbitt, Paul Harris +4. I didn't see him. And Brianna Scott, Paul Harris +3. So let's give one more big round of applause to these fabulous leaders.
The group. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Role models for all of us. Rich Houdeman will introduce the program. Rich?
Thank you, Mr. President. That Muskegon Minute lead-in was pretty solid into this program. It's, I think, you journalist once upon a time? Just real quick, Paul Hahn is with us today. He's the executive director of the Muskegon River Watershed Assembly. I'm just going to give you a quick background on Paul, but really excited to have him. I'm a board member, too, of that organization, so I got to know his work pretty intimately. Paul Hahn is dedicated to building community, protecting the environment, and preserving human health. With more than 30 years of experience building powerful communities, Paul is now committing to preserving, restoring, and sustaining life in the Muskegon River watershed as Muskegon River Watershed Assembly's executive director. Paul grew up in the Hudson River Valley of New York, where he learned to love the outdoors and river landscapes. From there, he relocated to West Michigan to attend Calvin College. Marty? Where he obtained his BA in Communications and Philosophy. He was the founding executive director of Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan. Paul is rarely found indoors and is an avid gardener. His veggie garden is nearly 1,500 square feet. A serious hiker Appalachian Trail through hiker in 2000, and a newly addicted fly fisherman frequently found floating the Muskegon year-round. Please welcome Paul Hahn.
Brought all my goodies with me. Got a little bit of a thing going, so make sure we can keep talking. I appreciate the introduction, Rich, and I want to start just by quoting one of Michigan's own poet, novelist, Jim Harrison, who said, let me get the quote right here, "You can't be unhappy in the middle of a big, beautiful river." And you're absolutely right. He's absolutely right. You can't be unhappy in the middle of a big, beautiful river. Think about the last time you, if you're familiar with the Muskegon River, think about that river. Think about the last time you touched that river or one of its tributaries. Or if that's not your river, if your river's the White River or another river, think about the last time you touched it. And think about the satisfaction that brought you. So I'm going to give you a little slideshow today. We'll move to the slideshow and get myself situated again here. And tell you a little bit about the work of the Muskegon River Watershed Assembly. We are a watershed for all people, and it's a rather large area when I say that. So next slide. Oops, I got a clicker right here. I don't need to do the next slide business. Here we go. Other forwards? There we go. All right, now we're really well practiced, and we'll go smooth sailing from here. So very large area. Watershed for all means for people here in Muskegon County, but 8 other counties as well, all the way up past Everett, Michigan, all the way up to Houghton and Higgins Lakes. So it's a very, very large watershed. And so that's a pretty monumental task. Oops, wrong arrow. And our task in that area is really to preserve, restore, and sustain the Muskegon River. Our work comes out of the work that probably some of the very same people that were involved in the microforests around here in 1997 did way back in the day. Shortly into the new millennium here, a watershed management plan was formed for the whole Muskegon River. And our task is to make that watershed management plan a reality. It provides us an evidence base, a research base out of which to do this work to say if we want to be impactful, we'll pay attention to these things. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I hate to start with the negative, but I do want to start by telling you a little bit of who we are not. And it's really important because oftentimes people make assumptions about organizations when they appear in a community, come to a community. We are not regulators. We don't get to call the shots on any of the regulatory business in the state of Michigan. We don't have any special influence with the DNR or Eagle. We are not those fist in the air activists that say we don't like this development, we're going to oppose it. We don't engage in that particular fashion because we are really focused on some of these projects. We are less and less oriented towards eco lessons and field trips for school kids. There are some exceptions to that, and I will talk about that today. And we are less and less kind of continuous education for adults, but we still do some of that work, but it's not what we lead with, and I'll talk a little bit about what we lead with. Instead, what we do is we are really focused on conservation and restoration projects. The projects that map well into the watershed management plan is the work that we do. We're trying to improve this river, water quality in this river in very specific research-based, evidence-based ways. And so we are assembling projects that help advance that goal. We focus primarily on the flowing water. We recognize that groundwater and lakes are a part of our watershed, but we feel that we have a special expertise in that flowing water space. And then we do education for action. So that's where those last 2 bullet points come in. When we are doing a project, we do want people to understand what's going on. We do want to have those connections. We want folks throughout our watershed to engage in what our outreach coordinator, Amanda Page, refers to as watershed thinking. We want them to understand that there are many dynamics at play in a watershed that affect the health of that watershed more than just picking up the litter. That's a really obvious thing that we see right up front. It's a good thing that we can do, but there's a lot more to it than that. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. So I mentioned this plan, and I don't want to get too bogged down in like bureaucratic documents and research documents. Our watershed management plan is 440 pages long. Happy to provide it if you want to read it. And there are sub-plans from there, and those are each hundreds of pages long. What we are really after, if we want to move the needle to make this the most healthy river for the environment, but also for the communities and people who live along it, we want to be affecting these things. Thermal pollution is a really big deal. Jeff Alexander, in his book, The Muskegon River, talks about what is really unique about this watershed is we are on a threshold. It is the only watershed in Michigan that on one side has warm water characteristics and on the other side has cold water characteristics. And so we are right on that threshold. And with what's going on climatically throughout the world, like that's a very delicate place to be. So we are concerned about the temperature of the water in our rivers, and there are things that we can do to impact that and to improve situations. We're concerned about sediment. When sediment gets in the river, among other things, it interrupts reproduction of aquatic species. There's a lot of other things it does as well, but that's kind of a low-hanging fruit. We are concerned about nutrients getting in the river. Our watershed is predominantly forested and agriculture. We don't have a lot of urbanized areas outside of the mouth of the river here, Newaygo and Big Rapids and Reed City. Beyond that, it's pretty much farm country and forest. And so the nutrients that are involved in a lot of the agricultural production, as well as natural nutrients that have been in the forested land, need to be thought about and managed. Hydrologic flow would be how the water flows and sometimes damages the river. Our legacy of logging would be a really good example of poor hydrologic flow that really damaged our watershed. Of course, we're concerned about E. coli and fecal coliform because we want people to engage with the river, and those are a real detriment not only to aquatic life but to human enjoyment of the river. Invasive species comes further down the list. There are some threats from invasive species, but when I look at those up against the things above it on the list, the threats are smaller. Oftentimes those are great projects, though, that individuals and volunteers can engage with. And then down the bottom of the list, because we are primarily agricultural and forest-based landscape, are toxic substances that we traditionally think of as like point source pollution. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the projects. Right? So we orient around projects, and we are increasingly, if you will, putting pins on a map and thinking about what are the projects that can really move the needle in this watershed. This is one that came to us fairly early. We were actually working on another project, which I'll reference later, the Maple River, the reopening of the Maple River and Maple Island. And when we were holding community meetings along the Muskegon County, Newaygo County border in Cedar Township, we met Kathy Whipple and her family. And they own this property. It's agricultural property right on the main branch of the Muskegon River. And this is, what you're seeing in this picture is the hydrology of the river causing a sediment problem as that bank collapses. And as that bank collapses, nutrients from the agricultural use as well as legacy nutrients are also getting in the water. So it's kind of a double, triple threat here on the right by Maple Island Avenue, if you're familiar with the area. And Kathy came to us and said, you know, from a property owner's perspective, I'm losing real estate here. This is really hurting our family and the value of our property. We also know that this is a legacy of logging. Because the Muskegon River at this point used to be considerably more narrow, probably about 40% less water went down the Muskegon River because what happened many years ago is they dammed up the Maple River and sent all the water, hence all the logs, right, down the Muskegon River to the city of Muskegon. And as they did that, it created tremendous erosion in this area that 100 years later is still needs help to heal. So Kathy invited us in. We connected with some folks, some funding resources, the Great Lakes. I'm forgetting the name of the group now, but Great Lakes supportive group that's really concerned about sediment in our Great Lakes, and brought together a package to do something about this bank. So A couple years later, this is what the bank looked like upon completion. So it no longer has that very perched, steep edge. And if you look carefully at this photo, you see that there's some habitat and some ecological restoration going on in the upper bank. But we also hardened the lower bank and relaxed the bank so it's not steep. And now when the water comes up, instead of hitting that bank like a wall, it can kind of slide up and it's reconnected to the floodplain. That was the year the bank project was completed. This is a year later. It's naturalized. I like the cabana, it's a nice touch. But from the river, it looks beautiful. There's a lot of toewood in this bank. It's really great for the aquatic species. It's a fantastic improvement to the area. So why do we care about bank restoration? It looks beautiful, that's great. That's the really impactful part in the pictures. But there are evidence-based reasons why we care about it. It stops the sediment from getting in the river. That sediment disrupts, in this area, the reproduction of sturgeon, nursery gravel for sturgeon, for the smallmouth bass, for the walleye, for other fish. When that falls in the river, it releases nutrient load into the river and changes the water, what's in the water, the nutrient load in the water. The hydrology continues to move more water through this river in dangerous ways to the landscape. They experienced tremendous property loss over the years, which now has stopped. And of course, there's the scenic value of it all. It's also great for recreation. If you're familiar with this area, my friend Carl and I fished down there a bit, and so Carl might be a little upset if I tell you this, but with all that toewood along that bank, you might want to think twice before you just float on by. So it's really great for recreation. The kayakers love the enhanced view. It's a beautiful place. Another example, and we were just out here yesterday, Rich joined us out there for a ribbon cutting to dedicate this space. This is the Altona Dam, mentioned 9-county area. So now we're up in Mecosta County, way on the east side of Mecosta County, not on the Muskegon River, but the Little Muskegon River, which is one of the largest tributaries to the main branch. The water that comes down here eventually ends up in your backyard, right? So this is an old mill dam. It was built in the 1860s, rebuilt in 1919. So that what you see was built in 1919. This dam built the town of Altona. It's a small town, but it was important. They had a grist mill. They could mill grain, and they also milled lumber at this dam. Really important in those times to build that community. But as things go, it fell out of use. Its use became more popularly known as Makeout Bridge to the locals. And really, one of the sad things as we met with the locals after the project was done, a few people shared, it's very wistful. They love the beautiful river, but there more than once I heard that's where we proposed on that dam, and it's now gone. So it is a little bit of a shame, but the improvements are tremendous. So this is Altona today. It's a free-flowing river. Just really critical that we do this work. So why is dam removal so important? It's important because it cools the river. You mentioned in the watershed management plan, that's one of the top things. This particular dam did not warm the river significantly, but it warmed it enough that it really changed the fishery, in particular, in the area. It also trapped sediment for 100 years more, as sediment naturally transports down the river, and that's what rivers do. They move the sediment downriver. You all know that being down here. It stopped it right there, and upstream from this dam, it continued to silt in, moving back up across 5 Mile Road, further upstream, and it starved the river downstream of sediment. Changed the hydrology of the river, obviously, as a dam. This dam blocked fish passage. The state puts thousands of fish in the river below the dam, thousands of trout, cold water species. The water below the dam in the summer gets really too warm to sustain those species at this time. They have to find refuge. There are few small creeks they would pack into, but very limited space for them. With the dam removed, those fish now have access to more than 120 miles of cold water nursery, natal waters, refuge in the hot summer months. They were out there electroshocking just recently. The dam had been gone for a year, and they're turning up this one. I want to say 20-inch brown trout. He's actually 19 3/4 inches. who's splitting hairs, but they are very much thriving with the new passage to the cold water. And it creates just a beautiful scenic value for the area. And the recreational, as we were doing the ribbon cutting yesterday, before we got started, 2 kayakers come floating down the river. It was like we paid them to do it, right, for all our guests, to see that people are really enjoying this river. The folks in Morton Township now say, it's not a 45-minute after-work paddle now. Now we can go for an hour and a half without climbing over that old dilapidated dam. So these are some of the projects that we did the last 5 years. I show this map to you so that you understand that we are throughout the watershed. That area I just pointed to is the lower watershed that many of us are familiar with, the lower 47 miles. Many of our projects are up above Newaygo and Croton. You add to that where we're doing environmental sampling to watch the health of the watershed, oftentimes linked with our projects, and you add river cleanup. Litter is important. We got to get it out of our watershed, and we're working throughout most of the watershed, the headwaters being a challenging area with low population. So a couple projects coming up, and I'll move quickly here in the interest of time. The Buckhorn Dam, this is a project that goes underneath the Fred Meyer White Pine Trail just north of Big Rapids. And this is another cold water input that blocks fish passage. DNR puts 20,000 trout in the main river outside of Buckhorn Creek, and it's a missed opportunity because those fish can't get into Buckhorn Creek, which would really sustain that fishery and could potentially decrease the need to stock so many fish every year. Cost that we have year after year after year. This project will happen next year. Price tag on it is about $2 million. These things are not inexpensive. It's not a very big dam, but it's expensive work to protect the natural resource as well as the recreational resource here. We are also working in the Newaygo area on a 3-dam complex. If you want to get a challenge, do 3 dams at once, right? Fortunately, we have consumers joining us to work with the road dam number 2 in this complex on Penoyer Creek. We're working on road dam number 1, and we're hoping to get that ready for bid next year, construction late next year or the following year. Consumers will be working with row 2 next year, and row manufacturing is the infamous plume that you see in Newaygo that comes out of the side of the river by M37, and we will be daylighting the creek there and reconnecting it to the Muskegon River. There's row dam 2, row dam 1, 15-foot drop with a powerhouse that needs to get out of the way. See the sediment behind that dam? Isn't that incredible? That's 100 years of sediment that should have been flowing downstream all along. 15 feet underneath that sediment is the old stream bed. And there's the infamous plume. So we'll make the reconnection. And we're reactivating the Maple River. I could do 40 minutes on the Maple River alone. Suffice it to say, the little blue line was where water used to flow, and about 40% of the Muskegon River's volume as it entered Muskegon County went down that blue line, and 60% down the other line. It was closed off to float logs faster. The main river was channelized, and we're setting to restore kind of all of that. We affectionately call this our 10-year project, and I shouldn't call it our project. We're doing this in partnership with the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. They are a tremendous resource, as well as the 2 townships, Cedar Creek and Bridgeton Township. And the agricultural producers who live on the island, really critical partners in that project. So here's future look. Partial funding secured for those projects. Other projects being explored. We got some good news on another dam on Little Muskegon recently. And so we're moving forward. And so this is one of our future projects, the Nartron Dam on the Hersey River. If Little Buckhorn Dam is $2 million, you can imagine how expensive this is. So I'm going to wrap with a little bit of inside baseball about how we get this done. And I don't want to get too technical, and I'm not making a fundraising pitch here. But I do want folks in local communities to understand how these projects come together. It's really, really important. In order to get those future projects like the Altona Dam to happen, there's critical support that's needed around project development. You often see groups like us, I know Wimserdick, we often celebrate these large grants, but there's a lot of work that goes into it beforehand that doesn't get paid for by the large grants. We've got to figure out how to resource those things. We're also looking to set up a project reserve fund so that when we do that work, we can cash flow it. We get paid on the back end of these projects. So when we do the Buckhorn Dam, we're going to have to cash flow that $2 million. And it's people that make these things work. So this is just a quick visual on the funding stack. The grants are in blue. They come in the middle. They're really important. They're almost 100% of the funding for engineering and design and for construction. But you can see, and this is percentage, not dollars, so it's not as drastic as it looks. But for 2 years beforehand, it's local folks supporting local projects that make it happen. And on the back end, it's local support to make sure it wraps up well. So with that, I'm going to close. Volunteers make it happen. Groups and community make it happen. It's the partnerships with community that really make these projects happen.
I'm going to get the first question. I'm the journalist. Rich, would you like to come up with this one? Certainly you would. Can you give us an update as to what the status is of the 3 hydros on this river and where we're going?
Well, thanks, Dave.
100% Rich's question.
All right. No, so real quick, about, a year or so ago, or year and a half, we put out RFPs to potentially divest our 13 assets around the state hydros. And we're doing that because they're just getting too expensive for us to maintain and to carry forward, because they need a lot of work. And so we decided to sell. That was the best option we had. We looked into this issue very strongly. The communities that are around these didn't want them to be decommissioned because the ponds are way too important to the communities, as you can imagine. We can't go forward as we are because the Michigan Public Service Commission's not real keen on the rate case we were going to have to bring forward. So we decided to, and we found through a lot of really strong, research and dialogue of the 40 proposals that came forward. Hall Street Energy came forward with the best one, and we really feel like that company is going to take the community's interest to heart, run these assets safely. They can do it better than we can. They own 40 other assets around the nation, and they're just better at it, and they can monetize it and do the economics better than we can. So I'll leave it at that, and that was way too much information, so sorry about that.
No,
Good afternoon. Of the, or how many dams are there in the watershed? And of those, which of the more significant dams, which one's structural integrity concerns you the most?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I pulled that slide in the interest of time today. So Eagle regulates dams that impound 6 acres or more of water, 5 acres or more of water and have more than a 6-foot drop. Some of those dams are already on our list. The Nartron Dam would be one of those. Road Dam number 1 and Road Dam number 2 on Panoia Creek are both on that list as high hazard dams. And then there are a few others. The Marion Dam is a concern. That's a mill pond in Marion, Michigan. It's an iconic location in that community. Very challenging conversation to have about removal, so there's likely to be other solutions there to improve community safety. Those are some of the ones that come to the top of the list. But then there are often unregulated dams, smaller dams, that we are very interested in looking at that also have an impact upon the watershed. Eagle looks at it from a safety perspective. We're also looking at all that sediment transport, and we're looking at thermal impact. So there's another dam on the Little Muskegon we'd like to look at seriously, and we're talking to the property owner, and there are some others as well.
First, want to commend you and your group for the incredible work
Thank
you're
you.
doing. The Muskegon River is so important to our history and going
It is.
forward. About 30-some years ago, there was a group from Grand Haven that canoed the entire length of the Grand River. Has anyone done that with the Muskegon?
We've done it on the Muskegon too, and I want to say that we might have done it before they did, but we won't quibble about that. It was called Discover Maple. Not Discover Maple River. It was the Voyage of Discovery. And so there were people that participated in that. Speaking of Marion, a school teacher from Marion collected environmental samples, the length of the river. That was done about 15 years ago. It would be fantastic to do it again. If anyone wants to help coordinate an effort like that, we would lean in and support you. It would take us off our game of some of these projects, but it's a great initiative. And it has been done, yes.
This may be a silly question,
I
but I'm
like
going to ask
those.
it anyway.
Yeah.
Are there any dams that are good for the communities at all? Or
It depends on how you evaluate that. So, I mean, our watershed management plan looks at very specific things, and so we are concerned about kind of advancing some of those things like thermal pollution, sediment movement, and whatnot. But you do have to balance it out. So, like with the town of Marion, Michigan, as much as that would create tremendous ecological benefit to the Muskegon River, it's going to have to be balanced. Ecological concerns don't always rule the day. The local economic development, the peace of mind and the community that's been built up around that pond matters. I wish I had a really good quote for this, but many people talk about the dynamic between healthy community equals healthy river. And if you have a dysfunctional community that's arguing and fighting and there's all this conflict going on and things are not well planned, that river is not going to be healthy. So it behooves us to take our time and have these conversations. And might some of those dams always be there? Probably not. At some point, things will probably change. Let's do that at the pace of community and local economies.
One last quick question, anyone? Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have a last one. Jay, we do have a question.
Whoa. Quick.
Quick question on the status of the Croton and Hardy Dam. Always wondered that. Anything on that one?
Yeah, so Rich talked to that, so that's part of the sale of the consumer properties that's pending right now. Has to go in front of the regulators. But, they're actively seeking to move that forward. And I'll say, as an organization, one of our things that we would like to see addressed in that process is the water quality standard related to temperature. There's been some efforts to do that. They've performed okay, but not as well as we might like. And we really love to see that whole conversation continue as we move forward because, like I said, we are on the edge in the Muskegon River temperature-wise, and that could be a tremendous benefit with our new owners to address that issue. So,
Thank you. Paul, the speaker's honorarium this year will be a Muskegon Rotary Club donation for supplies and materials used by our club members and youth from our Interact clubs as they take service trips to El Salvador and Honduras. Birthday slide, Michael? This coming week, Nancy Crandall, Dimitri Poland, Andrew Zart, Amy Deming, Bill Locksterman, Carla Flanders, and Tony Weskus. Do we have my singing duo? Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. There's Nancy helping us out right there. As usual, please make your $10 birthday gift to Caring Connection. You can use the envelopes up here. You can just bring us some cash or a QR code, and it's also in the rims. So please help us out to help our team at Caring Connection do your good work. Spotlight video, Rotary in Action. Today's Rotarian in Action is Jim Fisher. Mike?
My name is Jim Fisher. I've been a Rotarian since 1987, and one of my real passions has been my involvement with membership. I've particularly enjoyed giving the gift of Rotary to people as a great recruiter, and I'm also involved with the membership engagement and recruitment committee. For someone to become a new member of Rotary, they need a current Rotarian to sponsor them. A navigator is someone who follows up with the new member for a period of time, hopefully at least a year, to make sure that they gain the opportunity to be engaged in activities of the club and become comfortable with their membership. So a sponsor can be a navigator, and we hope that many sponsors will be navigators. One of the first things is to help them feel welcome and comfortable coming to club meetings. And soon after that, it's important for us to have our new members, if they choose to become involved in a committee or in a project, which is a great way to meet other people in the club and to really enjoy what we're all about, which is service above self. In addition to that, we want navigators to help facilitate new members to get involved in social events, service projects, and fundraisers. Any member of our club can be a navigator if they choose. It is simply investing some volunteer time to be involved and build a relationship with a new member and help them get some of the joy out of Rotary that we as members have with Rotary and help them become connected in various parts of the club.
Thanks, Jim. And with that, we're going to have the inductions for 2 new members, Amy Deming and sponsor Tim Arter. Please come forward. Tenelly Woodward and sponsor Doug Wood. Please come forward. Tim, you going to go first?
Sure. I'll wait for the others to get here. Good afternoon. My name is Tim Arter, and I have the pleasure of introducing Amy Deming. Amy is originally from Sparta, Michigan. She attended Grand Valley State University,
Go Lakers,
where she received her bachelor's in business administration with a major in accounting. Amy began working with Brickley DeLong as an audit intern the summer following her sophomore year at GVSU. 8 years later, Amy is a manager and licensed CPA who practices in both tax and audit services. Her areas of focus include individual, business, and trust and estate taxation, as well as audits of employee benefit plans. Beyond client service, Amy contributes to her profession through mentoring new staff and participating in internal training initiatives at the firm. She is an active member of the Michigan Association of Certified Public Accountants and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Amy currently serves as the board treasurer for the Coopersville Area District Library and volunteers in the children's ministry at her church. She resides in Coopersville with her husband Jordan and their 2 Siberian Huskies. In her free time, she enjoys reading, spending time outside, and being with her family. Members and guests, I enthusiastically present to you Amy Deming.
Good afternoon. It's my sincere pleasure to present to you Tenille Woodward for membership today. Tenille came to us, if you recall my introduction a couple of weeks ago, through the website and approached us saying, this looks like a club I'd like to be a part of. So I'm going to go ahead and read her biography, but once you hear this, I really hope that you'll reach out and make some connections with Tenille. Tenille recently founded Grow, Lead, Empower, a leadership development organization that helps people and communities grow stronger together. She speaks and coaches on 3 themes that feel especially relevant to me and to other Rotarians. Move On, Sister, about resilience and renewal, the ripple effect, about how small everyday actions create extraordinary impact, and the leadership architect, about building systems and cultures that last. While Tenille has spent over 20 years in leadership roles across education, business, and nonprofits, what really drives her is a passion for service, helping people discover their influence, align with their purposes, and leave a lasting impact. She believes, like we all do, that strong leadership and strong communities go hand in hand. Please welcome Tennille.
Thank you, sponsors, fellow Rotarians and guests. It is a great privilege today to formally welcome two new members into Muskegon Rotary Club. Membership in Rotary is not merely joining a club, but becoming part of a global family dedicated to making a positive impact locally and internationally. Rotary International is a family of more than 1.2 million Rotarians in more than 45,000 clubs in over 200 countries worldwide. Amy Deming and Tonelli Woodward, welcome to the Muskegon Rotary Club. You were invited to membership because you embody the spirit of service and the high ethical standards Rotary upholds. Your sponsors recognized your potential and introduced you to this organization, which is committed to fostering the ideal of service above self. As members, you will now represent Rotary in the community. Membership involves duties and obligations, including regular attendance and contributions to service and fundraising activities. You'll need to join a committee and become involved in the work of this club and of Rotary International. We promote peace. We fight disease, provide clean water, support education, embrace mothers and children, grow local economies, and protect the environment. Locally, we have a long tradition of developing youth and leadership among other avenues of community service. Join us in our work and the joy of fellowship. Do you agree to the obligations of Rotary membership? Amy and Tonelli, I formally induct you into the Muskegon Rotary Club, and I'm providing you with a Rotary pin. Wear it with pride. Also here is a club directory, four-way test, and objects of Rotary. There we go. We don't get to pin those on anymore, luckily. There we go. Thank you very much. I ask you to take the gift of Rotary that Jim had talked about and share it with others. Specifically, invite someone with your commitment to community and ethical standards to join the Muskegon Rotary Club in the next 6 months. Will you accept this assignment? Yes. Thank you. At the end of the meeting, please be in the lobby with your sponsor to allow members to welcome you as you into the club as they leave for the afternoon. With that, I ask members and guests of the Muskegon Rotary Club to rise and welcome the newest Rotarians in the world, Amy Deming and Tonelli Woodward. Welcome, ladies. Welcome. Thanks, guys. Thank you. If you have a brief Rotary Club announcement from a club committee or event, please come forward at this time, keeping your remarks to under 2 minutes. As we go forward, any committee chair that wants to give a brief update on what your committee is up to and have your committee members in attendance stand, please join the announcement line. 1 committee per week, first come, first serve. Next scheduled Rewind meeting is tonight, or no, help me, Rewind? Is next week, I believe, 5:15 at Core Plaza at the Vault. Calling all Rotarian leaders interested in being president, explore a co-presidency, or being on the board of directors, see myself, Roger Morgenstern, or Lisa Tyler. Melissa Moore and I met with the Grand Haven counterparts from the Grand Haven and Spring Lake Rotary Clubs in a collaboration discussion on literacy. Muskegon Rotary will engage our club with literacy activities and with club collaboration along the lakeshore that will include our members' participation. More on that to come. Finally, Bob Skolnick is putting together, I believe, a Rotary contingent to enjoy the Lumber Queen performance Sunday, October 5, a week from this Sunday, at the Corner. Tickets are also available for Friday and Saturday nights, October 3 and 4, but all performances are going quickly, so get your tickets. Next up, Nancy.
Hi, Rotarians. For all you big readers out there, unfortunately, all the books are gone. We had 20 books to give away to Rotary members. If you're finished with the book, maybe you could turn it back in to have somebody else read it. Otherwise, try the local library. Joe mentioned as I was walking in, don't forget about Hoopla and Libby. You can get the audio versions usually pretty quickly on your phone if you want to do that. But some of the events happening, the biggest one for those of you who have the books out there, there will be a book discussion at MCC on October 29th at 6:30 p.m. So the MCC students, honor students, will be leading the discussion for us that evening. Also, there will be a panel discussion of MCC faculty on November 5th at the Norton Library at 6 p.m. And then there is actually the author talk. The author will be at MCC on November 13th at 6 p.m. at the college. And don't forget the kickoff for those of you with young kids. It's going to be happening October 4th at the Mart Dock, and it will have all sorts of interesting things for you to do as a family. So enjoy all of the reading and all of the events that are planned. Oh, by the way, I do have Love Still Lives Here signs out there if anybody is missing theirs. So I'll see you after the meeting.
Hello, everybody. Had to get my little birthday payment in here. So we're here to talk about Harvest Fest and have a few quick announcements. Number one, the posters are ready. You should see them on your tables. And when you leave, I should see none on the tables because everybody's going to take one with them, please. And if you didn't get one, they're going to be on the back table there. If you have a business, if you go to businesses, please take one of these and put it in your business or to a business where you think would want one of these. The other thing you'll see on here is a QR code. You can very easily put your phone up to the QR code and purchase your ticket right now today if you'd like to. Only $85, and it includes a plethora of amazing things. So one of those amazing things is the food. And hot off the presses, we have some of the items that you're going to experience there at the Culinary Institute, including a veal herbed crostini, a Finnish meatball, Asian dumplings, Irish fish cakes, pork belly lollipops, apple fritters, and lots of desserts and chocolates and yumminess. I'm leaving some for later to tell you later, but that's all I have to say, but we have a quick more.
That sounds super fun, but if you don't want to pay full price, you can get in for a little bit less if you volunteer, and we need lots of volunteers. You'll be getting emails soon about it. You've had a lot of emails already about it, but you'll get another one coming up shortly. If you want to pick your spot before everybody else gets their email, I would suggest going on the website and signing up now. And you also get a discount to bring a non-Rotarian friend.
All right, and then there's me. Hi, guys. I am Kat Hyder. I am the queen of the silent auction. Although we are doing very well with the silent auction right now, I am reaching out to my fellow Rotarians because there's two things I'm looking for. I'm looking for services. We have a lot of people that have a lot of talent here, and there's a lot of services. Whether if you want to walk a dog, or you're a CPA, or maybe you're a coach, you know? I heard there's new people here that have great services. Another thing, I'm also looking for people with memberships. Memberships maybe like the Boys and Girls Club or a local gym. If you guys know anyone like yourselves that have memberships, that'd be a great silent auction item. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Kathy Brubaker-Clark with your Peace Builder Committee. Making an announcement again about our Braver Angels workshop coming up October 10th. It's going to be Friday afternoon, so hopefully that'll help some folks where it's hard to get away from work. It's going to be 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. We'll hold it again as we did the last one at the Pyramid at Wheelfish, second floor. And I think we might get another sign-up genius out there. We have a good group already signed up, but we'd certainly like more. Again, Braver Angels is a group that started many years ago to get the Reds and the Blues talking to each other, listening to each other in non-threatening ways. And you can talk to anybody who attended our last workshop in the spring. common ground. Some people were nervous going in, but they all want to do it again. So if it's very non-threatening, so I'd urge you, when you get Sign Up Genius, please sign up and join us. Thank you.
So a little bit more on the Love Still Lives yard signs. We've distributed about 100 of the 300 we have. We'd like to, I've sort of taken it to every organization I belong to, and that's how those got out, or a lot of them. But if you're a part of a book club or a nonprofit or something where you think people might be interested, I can give you an envelope to collect the $5 donations that you return to me afterwards, so I can keep track of everything, and just come afterwards. I'll be right out there if you're part of a group and would like to take 5 or 10 yard signs to try and sell at your organization, maybe your neighborhood, whatever. So thank you.
Hello, everybody. Arn Bozard here. Just to give you a save the date reminder on our food truck, food distribution coming up October 22. There will be more detail later and sign-up sheets and the like. It'll be at the Supper House in Muskegon Heights, at the church across from the high school main office entry. And we're going to need about 15 volunteers. In the meantime, if any of you would like to just contact me with an email and give me a heads up that you'd like to participate, be glad to receive that notice from you. But in the meantime, take a look at your calendar, see if you can help us out on October 22 from 4 to 6 p.m. Be in touch. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Josh, let's give away some money. What are we doing first, buddy? $20, going big time. $680. 680. 20. 20. Do it again. 713. There it is. See, membership has its privileges. $10. 771. 771. There it is. Finally, for 5. 648. Hey, back corner. Whoa, John. Our program next week, one that I've been waiting for about a year to get scheduled, hopefully it will happen, will be U.S. Representative Hillary Skolton. Remember, we'll be at the Delta next week. The Delta, October 2nd. After the bell this year, as we mingle, I will play Jackson Brown's Loadout Stay in background in honor and appreciation for our meeting crew of Mike, Kim, all those who have helped Ed out in his absence, and welcome to have him back, along with the staff of the Lake House. Thanks for making our meeting so meaningful. Please stand, members and guests, and recite the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, let's unite for good. We are adjourned.